Hi, I'm Jeff Luty, the window expert. Today I'm going to teach you how to be wise when you're buying windows. So I recently started student pilot lessons because I want to fly. And I realized that there's so many things to remember, and it's brilliant that when you're learning about flying airplanes, they use a lot of acronyms. Acronyms are important to help you remember things. Now, if you're a pilot, you know what A tomato flames means, you know what aviates means, you know what pave means. But let me give an example, if you're not a pilot, what some of these mean. For example, when I get ready to fly, I go through an acronym in my mind called I am safe, I-M-S-A-F-E. Real quickly, I'll tell you what it means. I stands for illness. Do I have any illnesses? M, do I have special medications I'm taking? S stands for stress. A stands for alcohol. F stands for fatigue. E stands for, have I eaten anything? Am I going to be hungry, or did I eat too much? How are my emotions? So there's some things that you learn, right? And you get those memorized so that you can make a good decision when you're about to take your life into your own hands. Well, this is not as critical, but being wise when you buy windows for your home is something that I want to teach you so that you can have an acronym, and as you interview window companies, you can use this process. It'll give you a better outcome. So let's talk about the letter B in the word E. B, E for be wise, stands for before. So before you would even invite a window company out to your house, here's a few things you should do. Number one, go to Google and do a Google search on this company. Go to the Better Business Bureau, see what kind of reputation they have. If you really want to find out how good or not so good this company is, the best place to look is on Yelp. Yelp seems to bring out the worst in companies, and it brings out the best in companies. And when you go there, you're going to check it out. Now, one of the things I think you should look at is not just how many reviews they have and what their star rating is on Google. I would actually encourage you to deep dive into 4 or 5 of those reviews. I like to look at the top 4 or 5 5-star reviews, and I'll look at the bottom 3, 4, or 5 1-star reviews to figure out if something falls apart with this company, what might it be? Having a knowledge about who they are and their reputation before you reach out to them is important. Also, before you reach out to any window company, I've got a link below about a video that helps you prepare for this so that you don't end up getting one of these high pressure, twist your arm, get you into this window tonight kind of companies. And if you live in an area that's outside of Houston or DFW where I'm located, I've got a list of great window companies all over the country. You could start with that. Check it out at jeffslist.com. So before you have somebody out, do your homework. Secondly, the W stands for the window. Now, you've heard me say all the time that it's probably better for you to find a great window company before you fall in love with a window, right? Because the window might be available from a lot of other window companies. What's going to be more important is who you select to do business with. So when it comes to the window, however, you need to think about a few things. One is, what is the right window for my climate? What is the right window for my mission? What is it you're trying to accomplish with your new window project? Is it sound reduction? That's going to be specialty type windows. Is it going to be energy savings, which we all can benefit from energy savings, and almost every window is going to provide some of that. But if you're talking about maybe there's specific things that you're trying to accomplish, safety, security, sound reduction, maybe it's actually got to do with this side of the house gets really, really hot, that side of the house gets cold. I want to try to balance those things out. Determine what kind of window you want. Then when you talk to this company, ask those questions. Now, if you haven't watched some of my videos, I really elaborate a lot on window performance and what type of window you need. Here are a few videos you should check out. I think going to be really helpful to help you find the right window for your climate and the right window for your specific needs. After window, then what's more important than the window is probably the installation. I mean, I say it all the time. You can have a great window with a bad installer and you've got a bad window. I would rather have a bad window with a great installer because a great installer is going to make the most out of it, right? Like, think about the professor on Gilligan's Island. I mean, he can make a radio out of a coconut and a tooth filling. So think about a great installer. Now, when we say great installer, what does that mean? Well, there are a lot of installer qualities all over the place. Installers really are kind of like chefs, right? You could go to one restaurant and they could have the same food on their menu that they have at another restaurant. Why does it taste so much better when this person cooks it than when that person cooks it? It's about the skill set of the person actually standing over the stove, the skill set of the person holding the drill, how they measure for the installation, where they measure from, what shortcuts are they taking or not taking. The installation is going to be critical. And you should also ask questions about the warranty behind the installation. Like, for example, here at the Window Experts, we offer you a lifetime leak-free guarantee. People say, oh, I didn't know windows leak. Yes, that's the number one issue with replacement windows, is the fact that you are destroying the vapor barrier that's over your house to put in a new window. And if it's not installed properly, you can have leaks, maybe leaks you don't even know about behind the wall, mold growing behind your walls. You don't even know it because you can't see that it's leaking. Installation. S stands for the specifics. You need to get clear specifics. Tell me about specifically which window brand am I getting, which model within that window brand, what U factor, what solar heat gain, what variable light transmission, what STC rating, what condensation rating. Give me some more specifics. I need to know this stuff in writing. Now you say, Jeff, won't that be on the window quote? No, it's not always on the window quote. A lot of companies will essentially give you a quote. It's a summary that just says 25 windows, $30,000 or whatever the number is. And you say, oh, it sounds great. It's better than the other guy's quote. You sign it, they come in, they put the window in. And if there's any disputes whatsoever, and you say, you know what? I don't think this is the window you showed me. I don't think this is the window I paid for. You go back to that sheet, that summary sheet. It doesn't break down exactly what you're getting. Think about it like you would if you were going to go buy a car, right? Because cars can vary greatly in price, even for the same car. When you go buy a car, there's a window sticker. That window sticker breaks down what you're going to get. Whether or not you have ventilated seats, whether or not you have a sunroof, whether or not you've got the 6-cylinder versus the 8-cylinder. All those things are going to be in the specifics. And if you're not careful, window companies are not going to offer you that. Oh, by the way, you're not going to want to run away because I've got a special letter I'm going to add to this one at the end, an additional bonus acronym for the smart guy who sticks around. So get specifics. Now, when you say, Jeff, okay, I'm there. I'm almost wise. I'm trying to be wise. What does the E stand for? Well, the E stands for exactly. Do you remember that commercial from Hertz for a while? They made this play on words, call and say, well, not exactly, right? Like, is it Hertz? Not exactly. What I mean by not exactly is because I get a lot of people that when we quote them a window job, a specific project, and we say, here's what we can do for you. They say, you know what, Jeff, I talked to another window company. They told me they could do the same thing. It's like, what do you mean like the same thing? Like exactly the same thing? I don't know. Because let me give you an example. So when we go to install a window, we measure to the 16th of an inch increment. Why? Because we want to make a nice tight fit. We don't want to just fill it up with foam and with caulking and move on. Even though it's easier to install a window that's loose, we want a nice tight fitting window. So we measure to the 16th of an inch. Another thing we do too as well is when we remove your window, we put a blue film over the glass to protect it from shattering, from getting shards, little pieces of glass somewhere. If you got pets or you got young children or you got a swimming pool, you don't want to be finding glass for the next 6 months in your house as you walk on it. We also put a flashing system up. We do proper flashing on ours so that water doesn't get in. A lot of people don't do that. We use a polymer coated reverse threaded 3 1/4 inch screw. A lot of people don't do that. We use a minimal expansion foam. We use the best quality sealants in the industry. There's a lot of things that we do that a lot of companies don't do. But people look at a quote and they say, I'm getting the same thing from company A versus company B. Not true. Ask for specifics. Exactly what am I going to get? Who's going to move the furniture? Who's going to put it back? Who's going to take my drapes down? Who's going to take the blinds down? Who's going to put them back? Ask these questions. How long is it going to take? How many people are you going to send to my house? How long will it take for my windows to get here? Get these exact information you need so that you totally understand what the difference is between company A and company B. Now, I made a great video a few weeks ago, we're gonna put a link to it here, about the difference between prices. Like, why is there such great price disparity sometimes between one company and another? And some of that you can find in that video, and I think you'll find it to be helpful. Okay, so since you stuck around, okay, I'm gonna give you the bonus, which is the letter R, how to be wiser when you're buying windows. Well, R stands for a few things. If you've never bought windows before and you finally buy windows and you go through this process, you're going to realize, hey man, I learned a lot. So I think it's good to pay it forward. I think if you find a good window company that treats you well and does these things for you, R stands for, I think you should refer them to your friends. R stands for, I think you should write a review. I think that it's okay to call the window company you bought windows from and show appreciation and say, hey, I know it was a business transaction, but I just want to say, Jeff, your guys showed up, they were on time, they were neat, they did a good job. You know, I'm going to refer you. In fact, I tell people all the time, the greatest compliment you can ever pay me is referring me to your friends and your neighbors and your family. Why? Because that's how we grow businesses. Now, you're going to find in this industry, most window companies are pretty small, they're mom and pop. We're sort of in the middle. We're a larger company. We install about 20,000 windows a year, but we rely on word of mouth. We rely on references. We rely on those referrals. We rely on those reviews. And so if you find yourself in a great experience, somebody does a good job for you, I think it's worth paying it forward and telling your friends about them and writing a nice review. Well, I'm so glad you watched this video. I hope it's been helpful. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or Houston, Texas area, we would love to help you. Visit our website. If you don't, I have a great list of window companies all over the country that do high quality work like I'm talking about here. You can see if I have somebody near you by going to jeffslist.com. Thanks for watching this video. Fly safe. Talk to you soon.